Or should I say attendees, viewers, let me know your favorite and put it in the chat so we know what we're talking about. Let me pull the chat up now. Welcome to the first official Reptile Show reporter scheduled live show. Boy, that's a mouthful. I'll have to get something better for that. It is Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. At least that's what my phone is telling me. My body says it's only 7 p.m. And yes, my new daylight savings time protest begins. I think this one is a lot more strong than my east-west protest. Bill, what time is it over in your neck of the woods?
It is 5:02 p.m.
All right.
PDT.
So you got the daylight savings thing as well over there, huh?
Yeah,
what
do indeed.
What the heck is on the problem with that? I don't know. All right. On with the show. I guess we got to go back to the show. Once again, we are blessed today to have our famous co-host back from Madagascar, where he hung out with the lemurs, social media celebrities, and of course, chameleons. The headmaster of the Chameleon Academy, Bill Strand.
Hello, everybody.
All right. Who am I?
Who are you?
Well, it's time that you find out. Tonight, I am turning over the mic over to Bill. Not that I don't do it every night anyways, or every week, and getting in the guest chair. But first, any announcements, Bill?
Well, actually, yes. For those of you that you'll be hearing about this on my channel, Chameleon Academy, I'm actually taking a week break. So you're not going to hear a lot from me next week.
Who vacation time? Did you put in for that? I didn't get a message. I didn't approve this. What's going on?
I apologize. I will be here on Saturday for my live. I will be here, but next week, well, actually just my Instagram live and then the Chameleon Hour at the end of next week is not going to happen. That's going to be put off a week because I need to do a work thing.
All right. So for all of those who want to be here on Thursday, I'm going to be here Thursday. We'll have a show. I'll figure something out. I'm going to the Medina show by Cleveland, Ohio. And so I'm going to find somebody to bring on the show, or I'm going to bring somebody else from the past. We'll have a guest. Don't worry. Don't fret. Bill won't cancel the show on us.
I will be replaced immediately, apparently.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Especially after tonight's show. I don't know. Depends on how hard he goes on me. I may have to replace him. I may have to dump him off, like this. See, I'm all by myself. And so I have the power to do that. So bye, Bill. All right. I'll bring you back on.
Wait a frickin', who gave you that button?
That's what happens when you let someone else get the show software. So, all right. James. All right, now let's get out of the co-host seat and into the hot seat. And Bill, that means the show is yours.
All right, folks. Well, now the control's been over here. We're going to go ahead and steer this interview where everybody wants to go. And we're not going to go easy on Sean McZoo McNeeley. We're going to get to the bottom of what's going on. So we're going to start off with addressing the obvious. This show, hey, Steph. Yeah, I'm very distractible.
But Cross is also here. Didn't you say you didn't say hi to James?
I did. I said hi to James while you were talking.
Oh, okay. You were off the show there for that minute. Okay, thanks.
So, I mean, obviously I have absolutely no manners. But anyway, we have come to this show that we come to every Thursday night, and we have found that it has a different name. So what is up to that? What is a reptile show reporter, and why would there be a name change?
It's a natural evolution. The show started out as a show for the chameleon enthusiast moderators to get on and talk about themselves. It evolved. I could say devolved, but I'm going to go with evolved into you and I talking and having a show. We started changing the name. We called it the Exotic Pet Adventures because that was cool and it was available for a URL, and it was available on Instagram and YouTube and what have you. So we did that. But as things have gone on over the last year, things have changed. We've seemed to be leaning towards having people on from reptile shows. I'm going to more and more reptile shows. All these reptile shows are there. And so why not call it the Reptile Show Reporter and tell everyone what we're actually doing? we're not actually going. You went on an exotic pet adventure to Madagascar. You didn't bring me, but you went on that, but I didn't. And so since I'm the main host of the show, we ought to name it after what I do and not what you're doing. So that's kind of where I went.
Just pulling rank here. I tell you.
Oh, not rank, just just protecting myself and defending.
Okay, well, let's go into that the reptile shows that you seem to focus on. And yes, we've noticed that you go to the shows, you really enjoy going to the shows, and then you bring people back from the show. It's like sending the kids to the supermarket. They always come back with a kitten or something. And so the question is,
but that's the thing. I always come back with an animal. I come back with snakes. I come back with tortoises. I come back with all kinds of things. But yes, I think you're probably referring to the people that I get.
Yeah, the people.
I haven't had those on the show, but okay, I'm sorry.
So the question is, what is it about shows that is so interesting to you? I mean, we all love shows, but what has grabbed you enough that you want to make a show out of it?
It is an awesome cross section of America. Every walk of life is at the show. Every race, color, creed, whatever you want to say, rich, poor, well-dressed. People are in suits. People are in T-shirts and shorts. Everybody's there. People with long hair, short hair, people with, all kinds of piercings, and people with none at all, people with tattoos. Everything you can imagine is at the show. And there's all kinds of pets. It's more than just reptiles, but mostly it's reptiles. Most of them are mostly snakes. But you've got arachnids, you've got sugar gliders, you've got isopods, you've got all kinds of things. You've got feeder bugs, you've got feeder rats and mice, you've got pet mice and rats. So it's a cross section of everything. It's America. I don't think there's anything more American than apple pie and mom, but a reptile show is probably number 3.
Yeah, it seems that if it's not a dog, cat, bird, or fish, well, then it all gets at the reptile show.
Exactly, because there's dog, cats, fish, and reptiles is the bucket where everything goes. So yeah, I'm good with that. That's cool. I mean, I actually have dogs. I've owned fish, and I had a bird once, but it was very loud, noisy, and it made a mess in the house, and we got rid of it. We rehomed it to someone who really wanted a bird, because I was unfortunately shown sun conures and see how awesome they are, and I didn't get the right one. So mine wasn't hand fed and captive born. It was probably something that somebody shoved off on me. But nonetheless, I'm sorry, I'm off topic.
All right. So a question about that. I mean, we call them reptile shows, but it seems like it's a catch-all bucket that is for exotics. And when you go to these shows, how do you see that getting along? How does the community come together like that?
I don't know. I think there's a connection because there are people that, I don't just have reptiles. I have dogs. I have other pets. My daughter has rats. There's a bunch of all these things, and these are all people who like animals, that like to make sure the welfare of animals good. They like to keep them in their home. I got bugs at the last. I got beetles at the last expo that I went to, and so those are things that everybody seems to like. So fortunately, people they don't just say this isn't a reptile. This doesn't fall under this lizard. It's not a snake show. It doesn't fall under the strict heading. So I think it's awesome. I think people enjoy it. And it seems like, I don't know if it happened because some of the shows were smaller and they needed vendors and they kept adding vendors and vendors and vendors. I mean, my wife bought a snake shed necklace at the last show. That's not even a pet. But it was a snake shed and it was made into a necklace and they had a booth. So she bought it. It was cool. So I think it's really awesome.
Yeah. And I think we in the mainstream reptiles, we love having everybody else there. We love having the arachnid people there. We love having, sugar gliders, exotic pets, love them. And isopods, it's just part of the same thing that fascinates us. And I do another podcast called the Reptile Entrepreneur Podcast. And I always say reptile doesn't mean reptile. It means everybody who's at a reptile show, because it's like we're just one huge exotics community. And I love it.
Right. I do too. That's why I'm doing this show. That's why I renamed the show. And that's why, as we thought about what do we call it? Exotic show, what it's called a reptile show, and that's what America knows it as. And so why fight City Hall? And if you don't have to, just call it a reptile show, and don't make sure that you don't have any scientists to get in on the species and genus of everything, because and put them into their right buckets. What is that called? I can't think off the top of my head. I'm losing that, but make sure that it's in a reptile category. It's a bigger show.
All right. So if you've actually gone through the effort of renaming the show, renaming all of this, obviously you've put a lot of thought into the direction that you want to take this. And so what can we as viewers and listeners expect from this show in the future?
I think we're going to continue with the same basic themes, but we're going to talk about potential pets. What are they? Why these pets? Well, how did they get there? Are they captive bred? How do we take the welfare of them? We're going to talk about the attendees, the people who are at the show. We're going to talk with some of them, see why they're there. Why do they go? Are they coming to get a pet? Are they just coming to enjoy the scenery? Is it like a mini zoo for them? Why are they there? We're going to talk about the vendors. The vendors make the show. If you don't have vendors, you don't have a show. So we're going to talk about the vendors. And the main thing is we're going to talk about the shows. How did the show become? How long has it been going on? What are the problems with putting on a show? Who are the promoters? Who are these people? Why do these people promote a show? Why reptiles? Why a show? Why this time? Why this location? That's what we're going to do. And those are the 4 buckets that we're going to talk about and stick with.
All right. Well, let's talk about reptile shows. I mean, on the surface, it's like a little swap meet. Everybody comes. But what do you think the place for a reptile show is? What do you think it means to us in the community? And to give a little bit more ambiance or context to that question, we all are excited about shows. We love seeing shows, and it's like it's more than just going to the grocery store. We've got friends there. It's like a community center.
Sure.
How do you see that? How do you see the place of a reptile show in our community?
It's a way for us to connect in life. It's real life. We're together. We see these people who are like the same things we do. It's like, going to a Cavs game like I was at last night. Everybody in the stadium last night was rooting for, the majority of the people in the stadium were rooting for the Cavs. We lost. But you all had a common purpose. There are all kinds of walks of life, all kinds of different people. We all had blue and, what do you call it? Wine and gold on, or at least most of us did. Of course, now that most of the teams have multiple colors, but we were all together with the same purpose. The same thing at the show. When you go there, you're with like people. You're not fighting, the PETA people. You're not fighting the people who don't want animals to be owned by anyone. You're not fighting the city hall. You're with people who are people that you like, people that you might want to meet, people that I've gone to these shows for, 30 years. I've gone to the same show for over 20, the Medina show, which used to be in Cleveland, closer to my house, but it moved because there was with COVID, and it got bigger and there was issues, and they moved it down to Medina because Medina was a lot more friendly for it. But I know the people, I've met people there 20 years ago. I've known them for 20 years, and they know me, and you get to know people like that. So it's like a campsite, with like people. It's going to a game or an event together with people of like mind.
Well, so it does end up being a bit of a community center for the reptile community.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you see reptile shows as being an outreach to the public?
Sure. No, I think that's also that, there's these big signs, reptile show, you put it this way, and people wonder, some people are afraid they run the other way because you see there's a certain sign of reptile, and they have this irrational fear, which is called a phobia. But some people go in and say, what's going on here? This one show that I usually go to, the most common show that I've been going the longest, actually has a swap meet next to it. There's goods and services that are being sold by people, and people wander over to the reptile show. They pay their $4 or $5 or whatever it is to get in, and they walk through and they look and see, what is this all about? And so, yeah, I think there's a lot of it. I vended at the show, and you get to know people. You get to know the people there. They get to tell them about your pets, how you did breeding, everything. You get to talk to people, and people are just there to talk. It's not about sales all the time. It's about the community.
Yeah, and I noticed I've done shows before with my Strand Chameleon Caging Company, and so I've done shows before, and I noticed that on like Sunday afternoon is the time that the families come out, and you've got kids, families with kids. It's like going to the zoo, and they just come and they just want to see things, which is somewhat frustrating to people who are trying to make sales. But I think we need to realize that this is our outreach to the community, how we conduct ourselves, especially on Sunday afternoon, when the families are there, is how we are perceived by the community. And by the way, that's the community that's going to be voting on things that are being pushed through legislation wise. So
it's also the community that's going to be purchasing stuff. Most of my sales from the show were not at the show. They were later on. They were online. People called me. They texted me. They made themselves known that they wanted something. And if I didn't have the right thing there, or they wanted something I had elsewhere, I even brought some of your cages to a couple of shows, and people spent the whole day talking to people about cages. And I'm like, wait a minute, I got these nice chameleons and beautiful structures over here. Why don't you want them? But you get that sense of who's the nice person, who do you like, and you actually pay more for something from someone you like. John from iPardalis, I appreciate the fact that he is so awesome with the way he raises his chameleons. I purchased from him. I had a whole bunch of people to purchase from. I purchased from him because he's a great guy, and he takes good care of his pets, or his chameleons, or his lizards. And because I appreciate that so much, and I knew so much about him, I went ahead and bought from him. I mean, that's the kind of thing that, Keith at Herps Alive. I've known him for 20 plus years. That's a reptile rescue here in Cleveland. And I've been a fan of that rescue for the whole time. I've actually donated a significant amount of money to the rescue. I've rescued a whole bunch of pets from the rescue. Most of my tortoises, I have a pile of them. All but one of them came from the rescue. Another one I got as a baby and grew up. It's actually not mine, it's my daughter's. So out of all of them, that's the only one that isn't mine, is the one we got from a rescue. Iguanas. I got iguanas from the rescue because I know that iguanas, they start really tiny and people love them. They're all cool and they think this is going to be a great pet. And then it gets to be this big and they don't know what to do with them, and they're not cool anymore. And they don't live 2 years. They live 15 or 20 if you take good care of them. And even if you don't really take full care of them, they're pretty sturdy pets. So you can't really get rid of them. So people sit them at a rescue. And so I don't go to the show and buy a blue or red one that I like. Maybe someday an albino one, but I go and get them from the rescue. So then the rescues are at the shows, which is a good place to meet and talk with them. So, I meet up with them and I get services. I buy my lights from there. I'm at that place.
All right, everybody in the audience, I want to let you know this is an interactive show. And so I'm going to continue asking questions of Sean, but please, if you have any questions about shows or the direction of this show here, this reptile show reporter, please put it in the chat and we will talk about it. And even though I do a lot of talking and I have a lot of questions, we'll go ahead and stop and we'll pull up questions from the audience. And so please do not be shy and put in your questions. So, all right, Sean, you mentioned that you actually vend at these shows.
I have in the past. I did it for about 10 months. I took my chameleons to the show. I built out a thing where the chameleons could be in somewhat appropriate size containers with air and venting and lights and heat and what have you. I found that the chameleon issue is that there's a lot of wild caughts at these shows, and wild caughts are $75 and they die in a month, but people get them and they think they had a chameleon, and they think that was great. Then they come to me online and get my captive born ones, and they live forever. Not forever, but the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, whatever it might be. And so I was telling people, when you're tired of that one, or that one doesn't do well, come back and see me. I didn't say it like that, but it was kind of like, I'm here, I'm available. These are going to be good pets for a long time. But I was part of the Chameleon Enthusiast. I'm an admin on that one, and moved up from moderator to admin. I have a lot of reach. So I was actually selling 4 times as many stuff at home with not related to the show as I was at the show. And so there was no need for me to be at the shows. And I liked going to the shows and meeting people. And because when you're at the show with a booth, and most of the time I was by myself because my family and kids couldn't come, because you got to be at the show really early. You got to be at 6:30 and you stay till 3 or whatever. And so I was by myself. So to go to the bathroom, I had to trust someone else to watch my booth. And I missed sales at that point. And I couldn't go to all the other booths and talk to everyone. So although I loved going home with more money than I came, which was never happened until I got to that vending position, I figured that it really wasn't worth it to me, because I love the community. The sales are secondary. I love the status of being a vendor at the show. And I did it for a while, and I actually even paid the guy for a full year, because I promised him a full year. But I said, what, I'm going to come, but I don't want to get up early, and I want to come in my leisure. I want to bring my kids, my wife, my daughters. They love the show. And so I want to walk around with them, and I'll be here, and I'll pay you for the thing. There wasn't a lot. It was, I think, $40 for the table or what have you, but for the week or for the particular show. And the show's only one day. But I didn't like being a vendor because I couldn't go everywhere. Now, if I had a partner vendor, one of my daughters all my daughters and my son are off to college except for the youngest one. And she's really not getting up early. She hates getting up early. She would fall asleep and get bored at the thing. She when we go to as a show, she goes to every show with me, because she loves her turtles. She loves her rats. She loves everything. Hermit crabs. She got hermit crabs, 2 more hermit crabs at the last show. She loves to do that, but to sit with Dad and have him and talk to people while he walks around was not her thing. So 16-year-old person, it's not their best idea of what to do. So I personally did what I liked, and that's go to the shows, and so I could go to different ones.
All right. Well, I know that it gets fascinating. The behind the scenes, will we be able to see the behind the scenes and what goes on to put on a show in this Reptile Show Reporter?
Absolutely. I made up these business cards that have 2 sides. One from McZoo Exotics, which is my pets that I sell. The other side is a Reptile Show Reporter, and it's a lot more intense, and it'll help me get in with people and talk with people. And some of these shows, I've been there for so long that people know me and I can ask questions and I actually know the stories. But I'm going to go live. I might even go live this Sunday from 9 to 3 p.m. Eastern. I might go live. I'll be mostly on Facebook, because this YouTube channel doesn't have enough subscribers to go live without a planned situation. We'll get to that level. Everybody get on the show. Listen, get on YouTube and follow me so I can go live. I tried to do it last week or 2 weeks ago, and it didn't work because they said, you don't have enough subscribers. I'm like, hey, this isn't good. But I'm going to go live at least on Facebook on Sunday for a small period of time. I'll see what I can do. There's a few vendors who are nervous and anxious about being on the show, and I'm going to put them on the show live and show them how easy it is and get them on. I have names, but I won't name any names because I don't want to warn them in advance.
Tell them it's like a phone call. That's all it is.
They're talking to hundreds of people, and then they're like, they don't want to go on a show. I'm like, what? You're talking to hundreds of people. Everybody's asking questions. You vended multiple shows, but they're like, but I'm nervous. I'm anxious. I'm like, this doesn't make any difference. And it's just me. We're talking. I'm going to get on the show and I'm going to talk to you. I'm not going to throw you the hard questions like Bill's asking me.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we will get to that summer of '73 in Marrakesh. Don't think I'm going to let you off on that one.
Summer of '73. I was
Yeah,
4.
we have footage. We know
I
you were
was
there.
4. I was 4 years old, Bill.
Yeah, that's what they want you to see and believe. So,
I
all
mean,
right.
I
So
don't look to be like 80 years old, do I? I mean, good golly. Most of the time I'm told I look younger than I am, but okay, go ahead. Anyways, back to you. I'm taking over the show.
I am like you just this control freak here. What's going on? Uh, oh, okay. Well, we got a question. How much does it cost to have a booth typically?
It varies, but by show, more likely it's the popularity of the show that doesn't increase the cost, but getting into it, like the Medina show, you can't even get into it now that it's full, and so they have the same people month after month. But a single, what is it, 3x8 table is about $40 at that show. But that's one show in one location. I actually know that the other shows around me in the Ohio area are about the same. If you get 2 tables, it's $80, what have you. And cash is preferred, obviously. So I won't speak to that fact, but at least from some of these locations, they prefer cash, and I won't speculate on that, but that's the cost.
Yeah, and here on the West Coast, you get like the Super Show. It gets pretty expensive. I mean, it's absolutely worth it. But you get I can easily pay $550 for a booth when you start adding in electricity and all this other kind of stuff. So when you go to the major shows, it starts getting up there, becomes a bit of an investment.
My shows are like 100 vendors. I don't know what the major shows actually have, but 100 vendors.
Tens of thousands of
Yeah.
people come through. I don't know how many booths there are, but yeah, it's a nice little reptile city
Mhm.
for a weekend, and it's wonderful.
Well, Bill, I'm going to have to come out there and go to a show.
Dang
What is there a
straight.
show in the first week of April somewhere between you and Vegas somewhere?
The next one is in July,
I'm going to
but
be in Vegas in April for a convention. It's an urgent care convention, but and so I could go out to a show, but there's no. Okay, I'll find a different show.
well, you're gonna have to come to the Super Show on the
You're
West
no
Coast.
help here.
Super Show Daytona. You're gonna you can become the traveling show guy.
All right, I'll do it.
So,
That's July. Like,
yep.
okay, I got Vegas in April. June, I've got a thing for my business down in Langley, Virginia, and I've got and so then Animal Con. When is Animal Con?
That's in September,
Okay,
mid-September.
so there's time. So if I got July, I could do that in July at Daytona. So that'd be good.
Yeah. Okay. So we have a question from James here, and asking if Pomona is happening. Yes, Pomona is happening in August. So you have the Reptile Super Show in Anaheim in July, and then you have the Pomona show in August, and then once again Pomona in January. So that's your.
So these are just yearly shows, or a couple times a year, like
We now have them 3 times a year.
Okay.
The
Well,
Super
I have
Show.
them every month. I have multiple I could go to every month. I got one every week.
Well, yeah. Now, of
It's
course,
not the
that's in
same
Southern
shows, but,
California. You go into the Northern California, we've got Sacramento show, and then Rick Porter has his shows, and there's a number of shows that are up in the Northern California. So we got a lot going on. West Coast is a fun place to be with reptiles.
not like the East, but yes.
No,
Biased, but on my part.
Here's a little bit of a deep thinking question. What do you think? Where do you think we need to go with shows? How can we do better?
How can we do better? And we need to display the animals better. We need to display them in a more natural way. We need to get rid of those. I'm going to try to be speak wisely, or we need to get rid of most of the wild caught stuff there, because people buy it, they don't understand what they're getting, and that's not where you should buy a wild caught. If you buy a wild caught, as we've said before on this show, when it was called something else, it should be for a breeding project. Wild caughts are not for the average pet owner. If you can't get a captive born somewhere, then maybe you shouldn't have that pet unless you're intending on breeding it. So that's my, getting rid of the wild card, displaying better, having, I'd like them to be all the time, all day, like a reptile mall, but I don't think we're going to get that far.
Yeah. All right. We have James saying that the San Luis Obispo in April. Which show is that? I just did a quick look, and I'm not having I'm not finding it immediately, but that's because I'm trying to do an interview, and so I'm not too effective with Google. But is there when are you going to be around here, Sean? Down in Vegas.
Vegas, first week of April. So
All right.
it's like April 3rd, 2nd or 3rd to the 8th or 9th, right before Easter.
Maybe we ought to all meet at the San Luis Obispo show. I don't know. That's a little bit. All right, James, when is the San Luis Obispo show? If you know, let us
need
know.
a date, James,
Yeah.
not this nonsense with just when it is.
So, all right. So we have the Wildcats at the show. Is there anything that what do you imagine for vendors? You say present them naturally. What does that mean, and why is that important?
I guess it's not present them naturally, but present them in bigger, not in the little deli cups, chameleons in the deli cup. Snakes, you probably could put them in a bigger container. They do like to be in a smaller, but but maybe not as many at the show, and have people order them online and get them that way. Not bring them in such a small area. Label them. Actually, label them honestly where you got them from. Where not necessarily where you got them from, but this is a wild caught. This is a captive born, captive bred, what have you. I think that'll come as the shows get bigger, because as the shows get bigger, you push out the people that the promoter let in, because that's all they had. The promoter has to balance. Can you fill the show, and are there people coming in? And if you people spend money for a show and there's only 3 people, because those are the only 3 that display things well, that would be a bummer for everyone involved. And so as time goes on and things get bigger, and it seems like every year the Medina show, as an example, gets bigger and bigger, and you get more advanced people, you get more advanced keepers, you get some of the people we've had on here that display the animals at least a little better, and are truly honest and tell you everything that you need to know.
Yeah, this is something that I've struggled with, and there isn't an answer to this just yet, not an easy one. But how can you be a successful reptile show promoter but still have standards? And I say that because I see there would be a lot of people not meeting those standards if there were standards. But I think we need to have those standards. Do you understand the dilemma that?
I understand the dilemma, but I think that needs to come from us. That needs to come from the people at the show. If we go, the attendees need to say, I don't like these people there. They don't take good care of the reptiles. Their reptiles look terrible. I get reptiles from them every time I buy them. They die within a week. And if we do that, then the money that the vendors get, with the promoters get, will drop. Or you don't come to the shows where there's wild caughts, and you tell the people, but I don't actually know, how you do that, because it's only once a month, once every 3 months for people. So how do you actually put your stamp on it? I think you probably need to reach the promoter out, and sometimes the promoters hide. They don't want anyone to know who's the person in charge of the show. They just want to promote their things and vend their stuff and have a show and have everybody there. So it's a tough question, and it's probably something I'm going to need to explore with this show as time goes forward. And ask the vendors, ask the promoters, how do you do that? And can you do it? And some things that there's questions that when you start to police something, you need to be uniform, you need to be fair, you need to be reasonable. And so with all these different things, you've got spiders, you've got chameleons, you've got snakes. how do you be reasonable and fair and equitable about what you say is good and bad, and how do you make those decisions? I think that once you start to, edit the information and put it into different categories, people are going to complain, and people are going to, and so the answer they've come up with so far is you don't do it. You just, people come in, and if people like you, nobody complains about that particular vendor, then they let them go. But I think something happened at the Medina show. The people who were, doing the heavy wild caughts that weren't doing very well, they're gone. I don't know if it was the pandemic. I don't know what it was, but they're no longer there.
Okay.
So I don't know if it was because the show got so popular, this promoter had more people to replace them with, or if they just didn't come, or if there were complaints, or what there were. But I stopped buying from a particular vendor because even though they had the coolest stuff, it all died. And it was like, even, I consider myself fairly good at keeping things alive, especially chameleons that, I get wild caughts and I raise them up because I'm breeding them. But I couldn't keep things alive. And so it was like, this is not a good place for even me to go, even though I know how to do fecals, and I know how to do stool, fecal stool, and I know how to treat that. And I know how to see all the parasites myself because of my other life. And I know the meds, and I can, everybody has access to veterinarian meds, but and so it wasn't, if I can't do it, then it's not a good thing for us, the majority of the world. Not that I'm better than the majority of the world, it's just I've got a science background and and what have you, and so it's kind of unreasonable to ask other people to do it.
Okay. Well, reptile shows generally are seen as the goal. People would love to go to a reptile show. Breeders start off and they say, yeah, I'm going to go to the event at the reptile show. What would your advice be to someone starting off as to when they're ready to go to a show as a vendor? I mean,
when you know what you're doing, that you know what you're doing, you have a website, you have cards, you have a website, you have cards, you have some social media presence where people can check it out. You have a care sheet for your pet you put together, or you've downloaded, or if you've got a chameleon, go to the Chameleon Academy and get the care sheet, put it as it says, put the Chameleon Academy, give Bill the credit, but have a prepared care sheet so people know how to do it, and actually probably find pictures of ideal setups so that people know, actually, if your setup isn't available, have setups available so people can come and buy the whole thing, because people unfortunately people buy on spontaneously without thought, and then they go, where do I put this thing till tomorrow when I got the store opens up on Monday and I can go get it, or I can't go till tomorrow afternoon because Monday I have to work from 8 to 9 or 8 to 5, and I can't get the stuff I need. So what do you do with that pet till then? How do you connect with the people and what have you? Does that make sense? I think I kind of ran all over the place because I'd never thought about the question per se, but those are the things that I think that I know. I had cards, I had care sheets, I had well-made containers that that displayed them. I had plants. Actually, the thing I sold most at the shows was plants. I actually sold the plants out of the cages. They're like, I would like that plant, and I'm like, and I like sold it for double what I paid for it. But I'm like, I can't get these plants. These plants are tough to get. So, but the plants are what I sold mostly at the shows because people wanted those plants for their other reptiles. So
yeah. All right. Well, we kind of joked about you going to different shows. How serious are you about traveling to different shows and giving us that insight?
I like to travel. We like to drive places. My wife, myself, and my two youngest kids, because my oldest three are out of the house, and everybody likes a reptile. So, we go once a month over to the west side of Ohio we meet up with her parents because they live over there, and we go to a show. it was the show first and the parents second. Don't let them hear that. Hopefully they don't watch the show. But but it was convenient. It was nice. There's nice places. All of these shows are in beautiful locations. And so, yeah, I'm serious. And, someday maybe we go to Europe. Maybe I take you along with me, Bill. We'll go to Europe, go to the ham show and check that out, report from that. Now that is not tomorrow. That's not next week. It's maybe not this year, maybe not even the next 5 years, but goal wise, sure, it's a good goal. And so you build up to the goal. If I get enough people watching me to push me there, then I'll go,
I'm a good sound guy. I'll take care of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, within you also, perhaps jokingly, I don't know, mentioned Animal Con. What is Animal Con, and does that count as an animal show or a reptile show in your mind?
I think you're better at telling me what Animal Con is because you've been there and you met a bunch of people and you went to Madagascar with them.
But I'm an interviewer. I have to ask.
It's an animal social media. I think people that are big or names in social media go, and other people who are just nobodies like me can go as well. And you get together and you meet people and you talk. What else is there, Bill? I've never been there, so I'm going to go this year. But
all right. So now that he's turning the question back on me, I can answer.
I told you I'd deflect.
It's a show. It's a convention. Essentially, it's put on by Brian Barczyk, and it is a place where all of the influencers for the reptile and greater animal community can go. So you going there and you have a lot of YouTubers, Instagrammers, TikTokers, any social media. If you're an animal influencer of any sort, this convention is for you. The Friday, it's in Orlando, Florida. Friday is all about influencers. And so we have a number of panels about podcasting, advertising, the things that if you're putting on a show, you would be interested in. And then the Saturday and Sunday is more for the public. And so there are still a lot of panels and meet and greets. And the panels are about general, like keeping reptiles or presenting reptiles and things that are of interest to the general public. And so if you're an influencer, a show creator, it's a wonderful way to meet people in the industry. Yes, I went there and I met up with a bunch of reptile YouTubers, Diane Solani of Reptiliatus, Dave Kaufman, Adam Wickens, Mike Tatula, and good old Mikey Bustos. If you ever were wondering what kind of shows can be popular, Mikey Bustos is like the biggest animal YouTuber that I know of, and he does it on ants Canada. So I mean, if you're sitting there going, nobody would love tokay geckos like I do, yes, they will. So go ahead, make a show about tokay geckos if that's what you love. So that's Animal Con, Orlando, Florida, middle of September.
All right. So that's good. I put that on the calendar. Make sure I get time off of work for this year and be down there. Bring the whole crew. We love the Orlando, Tampa, Clearwater area. I know it's two different areas but they're like a couple hours apart. So you can make a trip out of both of them. And maybe we can drive down and hit a couple other shows on the way.
Well, sure. I mean, I was there last year for the first one. Loved it. Absolutely loved it.
So there hasn't this will be the second annual. So there's never been one before. Okay. All right.
Second annual. And hopefully I would love it if it became more popular and more people came, because the more people that come, the more likely that, then of course, all these shows are very expensive to put on. And so when people come, we get it another year. And so whenever a show is starting, that is the most important thing. So yeah, I'll be talking a lot about it.
So what do we just put Animal Con in the Google search bar and find out more about it? Or where do we go to find out more?
Yeah, AnimalCon, I think .com. Let me see. Animal Con.
Notice that I'm just continuing to turning the questions back on Bill so that he doesn't ask me any more difficult questions.
We're going to get to the Marrakesh
shows that are better.
So it is animalconusa.com.
He needs to pick a better time frame. 1973, I was only 4.
Yeah, that,
I think you were probably only 4. So what were you doing in
adds to your
1970?
mystery. I was 5. All right.
All right, you were 5. Okay, so you're older than me. I forgot.
That's right.
You're ancient compared to me.
I know. I used to be the youngest in every class in every room, and now things have changed.
I was the oldest. I don't know what happened there. My parents held me back a year, but not a year, but they didn't send me. They had an option of going 1 year or the next year, and they sent me the second year. So
Yeah, well, I got in a year early
yeah. Well, it's
because
what I went through the medical school, Bill, so I don't know how badly I did. just in case anyone's wondering, yes, I did make it all the way through to that. So and so yeah.
all right. So with this show, what format do you plan on producing?
So I'm going to produce this weekly show. I'm going to continue to do the lives.
It's gonna be live.
Um, and I'm going to take the people from the lives that seem interesting, that I want to explore more about, that the audience seems to like, and do a podcast. So I actually recorded my first podcast, or the first podcast I'm going to record. I think I'm going to record myself on a podcast. But Bill joined me for the first recording of the podcast. We recorded Anne, who was a couple weeks ago that we couldn't get her voice lined up with her talking, and so we recorded her on a podcast, and I'm going to edit that, and I can't promise you when I'm going to be done with that because it's a new experience for me, but I'm going to probably put out a couple of them before I send them out, and send them out. So in a couple weeks to maybe a week or two, I'm going to have that. Bill and I talked to Ann, and I'm going to be talking about this kind of thing myself, just describing who I am and why I'm doing this. And then I've got a couple other people lined up, probably Keith from Herps Alive, because his internet service isn't great, but the software that we use, and I'm using the same software Bill used for his podcast. So take note, those are awesome. And so I won't promise awesome, but at least the sound and video will be good quality. And those, you record it, and you're recording each individual's from their computer, and it's sent to a central place. So you've got 3 videos and audios together, so you can lace things back up and cut things out and do things that are good. So the sound in the video is always probably at least fairly good. So it'll be an interesting adventure. I'm going to continue to post things on Instagram. I'll probably do some lives on Instagram in the sense of just from the shows. I'm going to do some short lives on Facebook. I'm going to do some, continue to do this type of thing on YouTube. And I'm going to probably put my podcast on the YouTube podcast, which is apparently a new thing that's going to happen with YouTube. It's going to be, podcasts are going to be available. I'm going to have to learn about that. Fortunately, Bill's already a couple steps ahead of me, so I can follow in his footsteps, no matter how big or they are. I can just kind of follow and not have anyone follow me because I'm following Bill's footsteps, so there's no spots. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. That's what I'm planning to do. I do have a daytime job. I actually have a couple of them, but so this won't be immediately, and I won't be able to produce nearly as much content as Bill does, 3 podcasts and all that other stuff. But I will be doing this because it's something I love to do, and that's why I'm doing it. I'm enjoying it. I'm a high energy kind of guy that if I'm not doing something, I'm going to be working on the house and destroying something. And my wife prefers I do this. So actually, I do have a huge background in construction, but I also have a family background of never completing a project. So it's one of those things that you get to you complete it right before you sell the house. So that's my family history. Sorry, Dad, but it started at that generation at least. But nonetheless, we're capable of doing everything. We did it for other people, but completing the projects at our own house, it's like the cobbler's kids have no shoes. The dentist kids' teeth are falling out. So it's one of those stories. But so that if I don't start something, I don't have to finish it. And these things I can do.
Now, when you said podcast, do you mean that you're going to put them on YouTube, or are you going to put them on the traditional audio podcast RSS feed as well?
Yes.
Okay.
I need to sort all that out. I've kind of got an idea of what that's about and what that means, but I did, I used the Riverside software, so we got a video and an audio, so I could do it on YouTube, and I can cut the audio off and put it on the traditional RSS feed, so you can listen onto whatever your favorite podcast is. And the software has multiple that you listed on has multiple spots where you can put it, and as long as those people put them on there and you can find them, it'll work.
Okay. All right. So this is exciting.
Mhm.
So you will do I get this right that you're going to be continuing these weekly live sessions, and
Mhm.
then as soon as you get it all together, that's when the podcast part shows up?
Yep, that's when it's going to drop. It'll probably be every other week first, at least. If I find more time, it'll be more frequently. But I want to be predictable so people know when it's dropping, and so that they can get used to it and not have to expect it. Unlike me, who when your podcast is 2 hours late, I get
Boy,
complained
everybody, he
on,
lets me
on
know. Oh my
different
goodness.
multiple
He is
different
on the
venues.
ball.
I got his phone number. I'm on all his feeds and all his Instagram, and I've got backroom type stuff access to Bill. So I just complain all the time. At least I don't let anyone else see it.
That's right. But boy, I hear about it. I hear about it.
It's just me trying to help Bill. It's
And I
me
appreciate
being
that. I
a
appreciate that.
good a good follower. I'm trying to push the person. It's like rooting for my team. It's like I want you to make that shot. I don't want you to miss that layup.
I appreciate that. All right, folks, we are going to start bringing this to a close. If you have any more comments or questions, put them in the chat right now. And I will say, Sean, thank you very much for coming on and adding a new element to our podcasting world. I am always excited when there are more podcasters. I enjoy podcasting, and I like people who are part of podcasting, because if you are a podcaster or you create videos, every week you are looking to grow. And so it's our podcasters and the people putting together these shows that are the growth elements within our community. And you look at other communities, not just Chameleons where I am, but other communities, it's the podcasters that are pushing us forward. And so I just love seeing more and more people get involved in this art. So.
And if you're not watching this live, if you're watching it on Facebook as a replay, or you're watching this on YouTube, put in questions, put in concerns, put in thoughts, and I will be reviewing as I always do. I need more people selecting and following me on YouTube or whatever it's called, and Facebook, so that I can get more popularity, so that more people are exposed to the thing, so this can grow, so I can keep doing it. I mean, I'm going to keep doing it as long as one person is actually watching. And if Bill's on the show, then it's one person watching. So he's there watching me do it. But nevertheless, it would be thrilling to have lots of people added into in here all the time. And I know that we have a lot of people who are here regularly. James and Steph and Two Turtle Tom and some of these other people who I forget all the names are always here every week, and I really appreciate the people being here every week.
All right. In that case, thank you everybody for joining us and being here and being part of the crew. And Facebook user, we've had many laughs over the years about Sean harassing you about your podcast deadline. That's somebody from the Chameleon Enthusiast Facebook group, because
that's probably Steve from Western Ohio. I always meet him at the Fremont show. So or it's Alicia, and we didn't name any Alicia today. We have a tradition of talking about Alicia, who's from the Chameleon Enthusiast, because she's one of our good friends, and we just drop her name every show. It seems like it. So one way or another, but now I've dropped her name. So Alicia, you're welcome. You're here again. And it's Steve.
All right. Well, I've got a little show and tell before we go.
Uh-oh.
That's right. Good eye found.
Wow.
This is Nepenthes miranda. There are just a handful of Nepenthes that will do well in the temperature ranges that we have our chameleon cages, and the three ones you can really get a hold of are the alata, Nepenthes alata. That's a species, and then there's a cross between alata and ventricosa. It's called um, ventrata. You know, we're just making these things. That is generally what you see at Home Depots, and so it's a ventrata. It's a beautiful one. But then there's this. This is a
So
some
Steph
sort of,
is saying she has 6 of those. She loves them,
yeah. Well, Steph has good taste. Uh,
and more than you do. So
one, two. Yes, she does. I don't have 6. I have I think of 3 or 4. Okay. Well, this is something that I'm very happy that people are doing better than me. So this is Miranda. It's another one that in it has a lot more ornamentation. So I really like the Miranda, and you're going to be seeing a lot of this in my my next cage build. So anyway, I get to do show and tell. There we go. There we go.
all right.
So
So
anyway,
we're going to see everybody probably Sunday. I'm going to go live on Facebook sometime between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. So it won't be very long, but I'm definitely going to be doing it. So look out for it. You know, it'll be on my it'll be on this account. It'll be on the Reptile Show Reporter account. I don't know. I'm going to be going through my name, Sean McZoo. I don't know how it'll show up for everybody. I did it once at the last show, but I just said I was at the show and people did comment, but I'll be there and to look for it and look for it even in replay.
by the way, we just got a little news here. Stephanie is including Sarracenia in that as well. Sarracenia are the North American pitcher plants, and so that's okay. So we're starting to expand it. I've got 2 cephalotus, the Australian pitcher plant. So now I'm up to 6, I think.
The numbers are, you know, we're just kind of bending all the rules. But you know what? Us Reptile Show people bend the rules.
It doesn't matter as long as you win, Sean.
And everything at the reptile shows and necklaces and what have you. So I guess that's okay to do.
Now you get into sundews. Oh, I'm going to do great there because I had some sundews in my little terrarium and they just went nuts. And of course, you know, sundews, they have those, they just get their seeds all over the place. I now have sundews that are growing out of the side of my glass wall. It literally, it germinated on the glass wall and is growing out. And I have no idea how it's sticking to it. But yeah, sundews, got a lot of those.
I have pothos that are doing that. People actually got connecting with me on Facebook to get more of some of my pothos couplings off that one.
Oh, really?
The one that would grew out of the cage and was so big, and I cut it and
nice.
With my head. And so people, somebody in Pennsylvania, a couple other people actually want me to ship them, but I can't ship them now because it's too cold. So, so I don't know. I'm doing pothos. Although I know it's kind of boring, but I've got the pothos that grew.
Boring. That's my entire pothos cage. I love pothos. So
I guess I'm saying it's common. You can find them everywhere, but not the ones I have, and not the big leaves that are as big as my head, which is not that big.
That's not.
Now it's that big, but you know, it wasn't that big when I took the picture.
Let's see. Steph says, I want sundew so bad. Have a Venus flytrap that's doing well. Oh, I love Venus flytraps. And you know, the wonderful thing about sundews is the absolute most common one, Drosera capensis, the South African sundew, is the most common one. It is one of the nicest ones, in my opinion. It's my favorite sundew. And it's just such a nice, it's kind of like chameleons, where the veiled chameleon is the most common. And it's one of the nicest. So yeah, I'm just throwing that out there for Sean. But
how did this turn into a Bill talking about his plants and his chameleons?
I'm doing show and tell.
I've got what do I got back here? I've got
Hey, it's after hours. Interview's done.
I got Ficus benjamina here. It's a variegated Ficus benjamina that I got, and I didn't pay that much for. And I've got what else do I have here? These are all sitting in water, soaking it up. And I've got I've got a what do you call this? It's called tropical foliage, but I've got a what do you call this? It's variegated. You can't see it.
Oh yeah, let's not start having plant war here. My little angel wing begonia.
My living room. This isn't even my lizard room. I've got you know what I found? I have a whole bunch of what do they call those? Oh, good golly. I found them for the first time at the Great Home and Garden Show. But anyways,
my Tradescantia, my Nanook.
Yes, I've got my Tradescantia. There it is up there. It's hanging off the ceiling.
All right.
That's in the sunshine in the day. It's growing and falling and dropping little things. So
yep, that's why I got a lot of little things because they fell off.
And someone was over at my house the other day and saw my dining room, and it's full of cuttings of everything. And they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm not selling these. I'm just making more for my plants." And people are asking for
having a lot of fun.
So yeah, it looks like a jungle. It looks like a what do you call it? A greenhouse in there. And it's not that green, but it does get a lot of sun. So nonetheless.
Well, my that other place over here next to my cage is supposed to be for my new cage, but I keep procrastinating putting together the cage in there because I want it for all my plants for my background. So,
and somebody reminded me that was an umbrella tree. Sometimes as I'm getting a little more tired, my brain post stroke forgets things. But yes, that was an umbrella tree that I showed. Variegated umbrella, so that's that's the kind I really like to use.
Nice and special.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I guess I'm done showing off all of my stuff and hogging the attention.
All right, that's okay. It's okay. I told you got the interviewer seat. You're not going to have that next week because you're not even going to be here. You're not even going to bother to show up. Yeah, maybe you should at least get on the show and pester me from the chat or whatever.
I'm on a pilgrimage. Actually, I think I'll be on a boat at the time of the show. I'm not sure what kind of reception I will get.
All I can say is I went on a fishing boat down in Florida. We were 5 miles off the shore. This was 5 years ago, and I got service out there. And I was able to make calls and do things. So I don't know what boat you're going to be on or where you're going to be going, but
well,
sure.
That is true. I did get service in Ranamafana National Park. So
yeah, there you go.
Who knows?
Yes, we'll be looking forward to you not getting in, but being in the chat and being the anonymous Facebook user that we never know the name of.
yeah. You don't want me on the show because I'll have to be on my cell phone, and we know that doesn't work very well.
And I will know that who you are because you're the one that'll be pestering me the most and asking difficult questions.
User,
and not like Steph and James, who are always here and always nice to me
and well behaved.
Mm-hmm.
All right then.
Okay, I guess I have to push the button. Here we go. Thanks everybody. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Same time, same sandbox, and same new theme.